Hey everyone, and welcome! It is time for another Paint and Slay here on CNE Games for Idle Champions, and I am going to be your instructor and painter, V-Muse, and above I have the lovely Lauren with me, who is going to be my paint-along buddy, as we have some fun this week painting the WizKids Young Green Dragon, because, you know, who doesn't love a good dragon?
It's dragon time! We've been waiting for the dragon.
I'm
super excited.
I love painting dragons. I am very much someone who gets into the whole scales and texture on the wings and everything like that. So I'm really eager to teach everyone some fun techniques, especially for those beginners and intermediates out there. I always like to, yes. So I always like to make sure that I give you some tips that are easy, but they're really good, quote unquote, cheats that will help you out so that you feel a little bit more comfortable and have some fantastic results at the same time. So that all being said, Lauren, do we have any fun announcements for today? Or...
Oh, so many.
Oh, so many. So many.
Okay. So first we'll start off with thank you to Martin and Mars, who are our awesome moderators in chat. If you have any questions for us about painting, about the game, about dragons, sure, we'll answer questions about dragons. Go ahead and put those in chat with big question capital letters right beforehand so that they can grab them and put them into the backstage chat. I'm going to try to keep an eye on chat, but I'm going to be learning how to paint this big boy. Not the biggest boy we've had, but this big boy.
That's one of the bigger boys behind me. That's the adult, right? Well, yeah. Hold on. My right is my left, that one right there.
There you go. It's not Tiamat, but still pretty
it's not
big.
No, Tiamat I have put I've sent her away. She's been behind me.
Listen,
she's been behind me for weeks.
She was defeated in Idle Champions Presents, and thus we can stop thinking about her.
Yes, yeah. Exactly.
If you would like to see where you can see some green dragons in game, obviously, if you play your own Trials of Tiamat, you will get a bunch of dragons. But there was hey, listen, if you also make sure you claim your year's end chest, since that just went live. I'll go ahead and grab that while we're here. But if you're looking for places to see dragons outside of the Trials of Mount Tiamat, there's dragons all over the place. In fact, we just had an update to the game with a bunch of new variants. This was like 2 weeks ago or so.
Yeah, very recently.
Yeah, very, very recently. Specifically, I've got one of the variants going on, a dragon against us. And this one has a bunch of green dragons in it. So if you'd like to fight some of the things that we're playing right now, make sure you go check out that variant. And then also, go fight Tiamat because dragons. And what should be live right now is if you go to our website, you should see the latest champion spotlight. I'm going to double check that it's there. Might not be live just yet, but the latest,
we're on the
latest
cusp.
one. Yeah, we're on the cusp of it. So as soon as I get confirmation from the amazing Martin and Mars that champion spotlight is live, then we will let you know so that you know when you can go see who's next in the champion roster. But for today, we're going to focus on the dragon. Dragons for Hanukkah.
Dragons for Hanukkah. I love it. I'm all for it, quite frankly.
Green dragons for Hanukkah.
Green dragons. So this is, like we said, the young green dragon. It is from WizKids. It comes in a few parts, which is honestly quite normal. It also is one of those miniatures that comes in one of the largest blisters possible. It's not in a box quite yet. So if you want to get this dragon, she says as she looks for the back of the blister box, you're going to want to find this SKU 73684. Whether you're going to your local game store or if you don't have a local game store near you and you're shopping online, this is the magic code that you want to help you find the miniature that we are painting. And on the back, it does have some artwork for you. However, what I am doing is I am actually working off the official artwork from Dungeons & Dragons, just because I like to do that. So it's going to have less of this sort of turquoisey green look to it and more actually like this fun darker swampy green like you can see in our buddies down here below us in our frame. And I want to say this is $16.99 for the miniature. Usually an average between, depending on where you find it, it's in that like $16.99 range.
I think so, yeah. We've got, if you go to our Discord, discord.gg/idlechampions, we have a Paint and Slay channel where we list all of the supplies that you'll need, and it includes the information about this specific dragon, and it does include kind of your average price. Depending on where you purchase it from, always try to go to your friendly local game store if you can. But if you don't have one or don't have access to one there, you can also find them available on online retailers as well. And so we kind of give you an average price. But this is for obvious reasons one of the slightly more expensive minis we've been doing because it'd be big.
It's
it's huge.
It's sizable. I mean, here I'll show you because I got another WizKids mini over here. So this is considered a large, and this is considered. Yes, it's a large. She looks at the base. And this is one of the mediums next to it. Right?
There you go.
No, this is, take it back. It's a huge. Looking at the right base now. It's a huge. And then this is one of their mediums. So you can kind of see scale. For funsies. Yeah. So yes, we're going to be doing this one. Oh, that's right. I have a slot right next to me. So this is a large. This is a huge.
There we go.
And you can see. That's why I was talking about bases.
So all the minis we painted so far, I have on. You can't really see them from here, but on a shelf back there. And so I was almost tempted to go grab one of the Myconids.
Yeah.
Because next to this, it'd be so small.
Hold on. Can I reach? I cannot reach right now. I am tethered. No, I cannot reach. I have.
That's okay.
I'm looking up because I have all these shelves. Well, actually, if you go to Twitter and you check out my account, you can see my shelf work behind my monitor. But
there you go.
They're too high up right now. But along with our lovely young dragon, you get a base that has that lovely clear plastic post that will make the dragon look like it is in flight. So this is one of those dragons where you're in flight as opposed to feet on the ground. And you can see that we have this lovely bouldered texture effect on the base. Now let's talk about the base itself. You'll notice that in the tummy of our green dragon, there is this, it's not just this circular hole for putting the post in. There's actually this little notch system that you can see right there. That's because you want to make sure that you put this on at the correct angle. And it's a little tricky to show here on the clear because clear, but basically you want to make sure that you're lining this up to fit like a puzzle piece, essentially. So I know that because this is the shorter end on the top up here, and that's the shorter end on the top up there, it's going to lock in like so, like that. And you will want to super glue this when the time comes, but right now the time is not coming. But you'll get this sort of dive bomb appearance to the dragon's approach once it's mounted properly on the base. If you have the dragon going onwards and upwards, you're going to find that the base will not lock into the post. So that's just something to keep in mind when it comes time to mounting this onto the post of the base, between dragon and base, I should say. Now, another thing we're going to do today is a newer technique. I don't think I've done this with you yet, but it's a great technique that I love to do on larger miniatures, especially larger miniatures with a lot of details. What we're going to, yes, like this, because look at this. I mean, even in the wings, you have this beautiful, you can actually feel it. You have this beautiful leathery texture that happens with the wings outstretched, but then you also have these great plates of scale going down the back. And then you have, look at all this, these ridges that are happening in the fin along the back and up the head. And then, but wait, there's more. I always feel like it's, wait, there's more. And then you have all of these teeth in the chopper zone. So there's a lot happening on this miniature. And oftentimes I find, especially with a, this is technically a gray primer, with a lighter primer, we're going to say, it's easy to sort of lose the details because everything just sort of gets whitewashed, no pun intended. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to take, in my case, I have Nuln Oil from Citadel Shade. You can also, what Lauren is going to do, mix together black with some water to make a wash. And we're going to do a preliminary wash on the dragon to help bring out all of the details, because it'll be a lot more helpful as we go along and we paint this dragon. The other thing that it does is, because you have this wash going on first, it will go into all of these fantastic nooks and crannies and recesses. So if for some reason you hiccup and you might have missed a tiny little spot, instead of having this glaring dot of white poking through, it turns into a shadow for you instead. So it's kind of a fun little way to sort of make it a little bit easier, especially as you're just learning how to paint larger miniatures. So that's why we're going to do this today. So that is what we're going to do. We're basically going to take one of our larger brushes. We're going to go for the number 5, and we're going to start going in with either your black wash if you have one already, or you can actually go in and mix just straight up black paint with water until it is the consistency of skim milk.
And that's what I'm going to be doing because I do not have the wash. And so I'm going to be making my own. So I'm going to start working on that now while I grab some questions. And I'm going to go ahead and make quite a bit of this because this is a fairly large dragon.
Yeah, you're going to want to.
So I'm going to use a lot of water.
And go ahead.
Oh, but so yeah, we had a couple quick questions before we get started from chat. The Lurking Writer says that Sean said you'd be painting funky dragons. Which book do they feature in? I don't know if we're painting a funky dragon, but certainly the Wild Beyond the Witchlight has some fun stuff in it.
Oh, it does.
And JDog2773 is asking, is there a published module for Trials of Mount Tiamat? Yes. It actually just came out. So I believe it's up on social medias on all of our socials. So if you want to go check those, but it is up on our website. If you check the media section, it's a little hard to find, but there is a PDF that you can go and get, and you can play through the adventure that B-Dave ran for everybody.
And there's some really cool stuff in that because I've read the module myself, and it's a fantastic adventure to run. There's some other things that obviously with the live stream, like in players and things happen, there's some other aspects that are just so much fun that I think everyone's really going to enjoy.
Absolutely. And you can see for yourself the sad water. I don't think it's actually listed as sad water in the adventure, but
I kind of love that it was.
Oh yeah, super apt name. And then Keith G asks, will this episode be available for replay on YouTube or something? I have a friend who would like to watch this. And yes, all of our episodes are available, not just for Paint and Slay, but everything that we have on this channel is available on the C&E YouTube, which I'm sure one of our fantastic moderators will be able to put into the chat. It usually takes an extra couple of days after the show airs here on Twitch in order to end up on YouTube. So give us a day or two, but you can also watch the VOD for several weeks afterwards. We don't hide these behind a subscription or anything. So you can just grab it straight from Twitch, or you can go to our YouTube and watch. You can see all of the previous episodes. So if there's any monsters that we've already done that you'd like to go back and paint, you can watch everything. You can paint along with the Myconid that we did, and you can create the amazing Xanathar clown beholder that we did, and so much fun.
Yes,
super fun. And I got my black wash going here, and it's already
it makes a huge difference, and I'm really glad that you can see it's popping through already on my camera as well. All of these details are now so much easier to see. It also tones down that flash of white for your own eye, so you can look at it a little more comfortably too.
And we are literally just doing this across the entire dragon.
The entire body is going to get this treatment. Yeah.
All right.
So
you're getting a treatment, my friend. You're going to the spa. They're giving you a nice treatment.
It's getting a nice bath. It's a spa day for our Dargan.
Yeah. And I was asking about this before the stream because this is the first mini that we're painting that is going to be a little harder to hold because of the way it is and the fact that the base is not necessarily something you want attached all the time. And so right now I got it by the tail, but this is definitely a mini that you're going to have to play around with how you hold it and where you're painting, and just kind of keep an eye on where you're holding on to things.
Little tip I will give is when it's a matter of holding a mini by hand is to wash your hands with something like literally Dawn dish detergent, because it'll strip the oils from your fingers. And that way it cuts back on the oil exposure onto the miniature. I do it before I sit down and start painting every single time. I actually have a little bottle in my bathroom for it, so I can quickly wash my hands and not have to run down to the kitchen sink every time. So you can do that. There is another technique, and it is called pinning. Which is something that is slightly more of an advanced technique. It also involves a hobby hand drill is basically what they are. And because it is an extra investment in your painting supplies, it's not something I want to quite explore yet with everyone. And also, you need to be very careful with these because, yes, I'm speaking from experience, you might slip and impale yourself.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh,
But basically, what you can do is, and this is for those who are familiar with how to do pinning, you can actually go in and do a drill into the hole here so that you can insert a pin, a long pin, mind you, into this hole once you've used your hand drill. So insert the pin there and then just mount it up onto a miniature holder with putty on the bottom, that type of thing. If you want to take that approach, what I'm doing is I'm doing top then bottom. So basically, I'm focusing on getting this wash on the wings and the back. And that way, by the time I get finished with doing the wings, I can oops-a-daisy flip it over and then hold it by the tip of the wings to get the belly and the feet is basically what my approach is going to be for today. You can hold miniatures as you paint them, but you do need to be aware as to the approach of how you paint them. You could also do the side-to-side approach. You could paint all the left side, and then by the time you're working your way over to the right side, you can start holding the left side because it should start to be a little bit more dry in process. But I'm going top to bottom here just because, quite frankly, the wings look really cool as they take on the black wash.
yeah, yeah. I've kind of ended up doing both wings, and then I'm hoping that one of the wings will be dry.
Oh, yeah.
The first wing will be dry enough by the time I
Yeah.
gotta go after the tail, which is kind of what I'm holding on to. But yeah, it's amazing. Like I don't have nearly as much detail on my camera
Yeah.
as your close up, but just being able to see all of that detail is super cool.
Yeah. Speaking of cameras, I'm also excited. I got a new mount for my camera so I can actually, because a lot of you are saying get a headgear, but I can actually put my head on my arm now and look at the miniature, and you can still see what I'm doing on camera more easily.
Which is nice.
Yeah, but if I'm making weird faces, it's because for some reason the new mount has like this almost petroleum-like smell to it. So it's not you, it is this. Causing the funny faces, and the wash doesn't smell either.
Yeah, it's that new gear smell.
New gear smell, which is distinct.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes it's nice, but it's not new car nice. It's not like,
It's
"Ooh,
like new
yay,
tire
gear."
nice.
Yeah, which is intellectually nice, but not necessarily physically a nice
Yeah.
smell.
Yeah.
Ugh.
It's like, okay. All right, I'll deal. But I am liking it. I really am liking it because I'm able to get this at a more comfortable angle for myself. So,
Which is good.
yeah.
And I've done not nearly as much of a similar thing, but rearranged my lighting and everything so that I can have a light that is right here instead of all the way over here.
So not
And
bleeding.
So I'm not like, let me
Yoink.
see if I can get this painting done. Okay,
Right.
so,
The weebles wobble as we weeble.
exactly. So I am not necessarily completely on frame for painting, but now I am no longer completely off frame for doing it. And I've got, this is actually a much better light for me too.
Oh, that's good.
I've got it right here. And so, yay, look.
Vampire 337 is like, I'm the only one who likes the smell of new tires.
The lurking writer wants to know, is this 1-to-1 scale with the humanoid minis?
Humanoid minis? Bargain.
There we go.
Ta-da! You can see right there.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I think it's only like once you get into like the ridiculously
When you get into the
large...
big ones, that's where sometimes it's like the bigger is better scaling that happens a little bit.
Scale starts to break down and now it just turns into, how do we keep this still technically a mini while not actually being car size?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And JDog2773 wants us to give it a cute pedicure.
Give it a cute pedicure. Ooh. I mean, I'm not against it. Look at this slide. It's got the purple.
Yeah, I mean, cute as in, can it be dangerous cute?
I think so. Why not?
Yeah, dangerous cute. I like dangerous cute.
Yeah. If you want to
Look at
give it like a
all-
little touch of red at the tips because it was recently goring something, sure.
I mean, it's doing
Or-
a literal flyby, so it could be flying by just after it had decided to snack on something.
Yep.
So,
Oh,
so
Lord, he
why
coming.
not?
Yeah.
And then Gray L shaped is saying, so a wash before painting, and then I'm
Yep.
assuming a wash at the end
Yes.
also.
Yes. Some mini painters will just do what Lauren is doing right now with just mixing a black paint. I like using my Citadels just because I find it goes into the recesses a little bit more reliably, which is why I'll use an actual wash for it. But the results, either way, are still helpful in the painting process.
Yep.
There's a whole bunch of different ways to paint a mini, and I'm trying to do my best to give you different techniques that you might want to try out to help you along the way.
And it's definitely been fun as a both a beginner and as someone who was buying all of the stuff to begin with, being able to have the option to go ahead and learn how to make my own washes out of paints, so that because washes are so helpful.
Yeah.
They are so useful. They do so much
They really
for
do.
getting into details and everything. And so learning how to take the paint that I have and turn it into a wash, it really hasn't been that difficult, but it has absolutely made my minis look a ton better just having that technique on hand. So I highly recommend it. And when you go to the Discord to look at what are the basic things that you need in order to be able to paint along with us, I'm using that same stuff. I'm using the 100% that same stuff. I have picked up a couple of the Citadel washes because they're fun, but definitely everything that we're doing you can do with just the basic paints, and it just takes a little more time making your own wash. But then you know how to do it with any color that you want. So it's been very, very, very useful to learn. I'm getting to the point where I'm gonna have to brave holding onto a wing, and I can't remember which wing I did first. So here we go. That one. Okay. Well, if I get black on my hands, it's all right.
Hey, Tabletop RPG. Hold on, I always mess your name up. I'm sorry, darling, because I want to go with Tabletop RPG Gifts is how I want to say, because that's how my brain is translating it in reading mode in my head.
Well, that makes sense. Let's see. Mars says, I have like hundreds of unpainted Bones minis from the Reaper Kickstarters. Have you ever painted a Bones mini? Any technique different or advice for working with those?
Very excellent question. Here's the thing about the Bones miniatures. You're going to find that they, from my experience, sometimes the paints don't want to stick as reliably. And sometimes the plastic is far more malleable and flexible, which means you need to be very careful with how you are holding them, because you might actually hold a mini and accidentally flake off your paint, because they do have this bendy factor to them. What I really make sure I do with my own Reaper miniatures, especially the ones from the Bones Kickstarters, is I will, and you hear me talk about this all the time, that Mod Podge Ultra. I will actually do a spray coat of that onto those miniatures ahead of time, and then take a brush and even it out. That way I'm making sure there's a very light coating of something that'll give the paint a little bit more adhesion. And I'm even talking about primer. I have done these with primer before, and the primer has flaked off, or it has beaded up on me because of the type of plastic. And this is even after washing them and everything like that. I found that by doing the Mod Podge Ultra, which is different than traditional Mod Podge that you use in your arts and crafts in school. It is a liquid option in a spray bottle. That has been a lifesaver with those particular style miniatures. I've done their chibi miniatures with that. I actually have two of their dragons. Wait, no, are those? Yes, those are Reapers. I have two of their little dragons sitting here in front of me, but I'm not sure if I can show them.
That's okay.
I did the. What do you think? Should I?
Nah.
I don't want to risk. I don't want to. I don't want to cross streams with various miniature companies.
My gut instinct, either with streaming or with anything on social media, is if you have the moment
hesitation,
where if you have a moment of hesitation, don't do it. Don't do it. Even if it ends up being okay. Like, you know, and this is how I decide, and I know we're going a little farther afield than mini painting, but like if I'm trying to decide, if I ever have that moment of, hey, should I put this on Twitter? If I even ask the question, I don't. I don't do it. Should I put this? Should I say this? Should I do the thing? And it literally is just, you know, hey, maybe I don't need to share this much about my life. Maybe I don't need to be as specific about this, you know. And sometimes that's also helped me with making sure that I am being very careful about like NDAs and things. And we're like, it'd probably be okay if I said this, but you know what? I'm unsure, and I'd rather be careful. So yeah. that is life
Exactly.
advice for you today. Mostly for those of you who are wondering, hey, should I share this personal bit about my life on social media? If you ask yourself that question, my suggestion is don't.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. Don't do it. But you know what
Don't
I
do it.
love is I love sharing this dragon.
Oh my
Look
gosh.
at all that
Yeah. Isn't
detail.
that
Now,
fun?
I have kind of splattered a lot of black paint over everything.
Oops.
It's okay though. That's why I have 20 million paper towels down. But I will, at least the way that I was going ahead and enjoying this, I
You
ended up with a
know,
little bit of black all over everything, just little speckles.
there's
Not so
nothing
bad.
wrong with getting some color splattered through life.
Exactly. And I got a little bit of black on my hands, but
It,
yeah, this mini is
whoosh.
looking
It really
real
does
good.
help out big time when it comes time. Do 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 do.
And now I'm just kind of looking for, even with a wash, there's places that I miss.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh wait, this ridge on the back of the tail. I
But
didn't.
that's why it's so helpful.
Yeah.
Because you can go back with the wash and get that filled in so that just in case.
Yeah. I somehow got half the tail, but not the back half top of the tail. It's like, oh look, that didn't end up with anything on there.
Yeah, it's a thing. It's totally a thing that happens. So hopefully that helps you with your question about the Reaper bones.
There you go. We also had the lurking writer asking, D&D dragons mostly seem to be the Western style. Are there any that land closer to the Eastern mythology? Ooh.
Yes, and I can't say their names. There are actually other miniatures out there that have more of the Asian Eastern mythology, lore influence, design, and art to them. But that's something where I would highly recommend doing a search on the Googles.
On the Googles.
On the Googles. And you should have some luck with that. The other thing you could do is, if you would like to, you can @ me at Twitter. And I'd be more than happy to recommend a couple places as well. But if you don't @ me, I'm not going to remember. So please, if you want, yeah, I'll be happy to kind of guide you in a couple of directions that I know of, ones that might fit sort of the mindset design that you're thinking of.
And there's a lot of also
There's so much out
third-party
there.
supplements if
There's
you're looking
so
for
much, yeah.
stats to go along with some of those non-Western dragons. 'Cause
Yeah.
dragons are one of those creatures that end up in basically every culture around the world has a
Yeah.
version of a dragon, and whether they are beneficial or monsters, whether they are terrifying or adorable, whether they come in a multitude of colors or only one style, whether they're elementals, like it's just one of those creatures that is universal in lore.
Yeah.
And definitely take a look, because Fizbin's is awesome. I love Fizbin's treasure dragons. Adding in the gem
gimme.
dragons, oh, it's so good, and it offers so many extra options, both for dragons as antagonists, as patrons, as friends, as characters, as a whole bunch of stuff. But if you are looking for the non-Western style, there's so many awesome other supplements that are out there that I highly recommend taking a look around. And let's see.
Even in the DMs Guild. Like,
Oh yeah, especially the DM's Guild is a great place
Yeah.
to start. All right, Flex Bones for the win. Potentially, listen, there are no bad questions.
No.
All questions, and especially beginner questions. Like that is the reason we are here. I am a beginner at this. I'm learning. Even if we've answered the question before, there's always new people who are joining us, so it's always good to ask. Would fans help with dispersing the new stuff smell, or would that, for some reason, I wouldn't consider be bad for using while painting, it having some sort of negative impact on how the paint dries and then looks?
Yes, don't do it. What happens is, when you have a breeze source when you're painting, you're going to have, just like when airplanes go up in the air and they have to worry about currents, you're going to have bizarre air currents that'll dry certain parts of your miniature before the other parts of the miniature. And especially if you're trying to blend paint colors, or if you're predicting your paint's going to dry a certain way, it's not wise to have an air source going near your miniature while you're painting. Same thing for a high heat source. You don't want to have something like a space heater nearby, because that is going to accelerate the dry time of your paint. And what can happen is you'll have a patchy result because you end up layering. And when you layer paints, the color gets more intense and deeper. So I don't recommend having a fan going while painting. If you want to do it in between coats, absolutely, totally fine. But not something you want to do in process of.
Good to know.
Yeah.
I think I got most of my dragon done here. I've also discovered that
I got a tickle his
it
tummy and
is
such.
while it is hard to hold, it this is gonna be hard to show. It balances really well on the tips of its wings and the
doesn't
tip of
it?
its
Yeah.
tail upside down.
Yeah.
So like I just went to go put it down to dry and
It's like, doo-doo.
Basically it just does this.
Yeah.
Oh, it's super nice.
Which is
So
actually, that's how I was going to say, let it dry.
that is perfect.
Ta-da!
Also, by doing that, I'm just kind of looking at it under the light going, oh, I missed a spot there. Let me grab and I missed a spot there.
Yeah, I mean, you can see I'm holding it, I'm catching a tiger by the toe essentially and holding it upside down. But yeah, it's definitely a helpful angle to hold upside down too, to get all these little angles and nooks and crannies. And I mean, I'm really just thrilled to bits how you can see these details popping out more.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And again, go ahead.
Yeah, well, and I am able to then grab the couple of places that I grabbed with my hands, which maybe I then pulled off a little bit of the wash, and now I can just put some back on. And yes, I just see Irene UK came into chat and was asking about what we were up to, and yes, we're washing first.
Yes, it needed a bath. I mean, those green dragons, considering their environments.
There you go.
They needed a good bath.
Yep, but we're doing the wash first to get into all of the details to make later painting a lot easier so that if we miss a detail, it's not like, oh, there's a big white spot. So.
And also to see the different details you can address is another helpful aspect about doing this. So it's a preliminary wash is what I like to call them.
All right. Ooh.
And I just want to clarify, I mentioned washing when we were talking about the other miniature question. You don't need to wash the WizKids miniatures that are primed ahead of time. In fact, don't wash those miniatures ahead of time. You run the risk of having the primer bubble up and flake off. So just a little footnote. Some will need washing that don't come primed. The ones that come primed don't wash.
We had a fun couple of questions come in about the Idle Champions game that I'll answer real quick. First off, Maba Meta I have 1 to 3 gold hero chests for several heroes. When should I open them? Also, when should I open Electrum chests as a new player? Oh, welcome. Glad you could join us. I say as a new player, open them right away. Get yourself some gear. Get your champions geared up. You'll hear a lot of people who will talk about like orders of operation of opening them up. And so you might want to think about opening silver and Electrum chests first. I won't go into a lot of details, but Garwar has guides for that. But in general, don't hold on to your chests. Open them up. Get yourself some gear. Get yourself some loot. Every time you open up those chests, your champions get more and more powerful, and then you can do more and more things and gain more and more chests. So go ahead and open them up and enjoy. And Honda Hero 21 had a question a while back asking about a time gate, Binwin or Sisaspia. And I'm going to say both are excellent for different reasons. Go after the one who is in a slot that you have fewer people. So Sisaspia is, I believe, slot 1, and Binwin, I think, is slot 3. Let me double check that right now. Yeah, Binwin slot 3. So I think they're both useful for different reasons. Take a look at who you have less champions in that slot for. Go for that one.
There you go.
And then back to painting questions. Also, Mars says that his wild offer right now is for Akira's bag of marshmallows.
Love it.
Get it.
I was like, what are you waiting for?
What? It's a bag of... You gotta get the marshmallows. You can't sit on marshmallows. Those are gonna go away. Get them now. Back to painting questions.
Yeah.
Trafalgar123 wants to know, what about airbrushing versus using a brush?
Airbrushing is very cool. It is an entirely different art form and technique. There are fantastic artists out there. Angel Vidal, I want to say is his last name. He has some wonderful tutorials on YouTube with with a paintbrush, with an airbrush. The one thing I have found, because I actually do own an airbrush, personally for me, it didn't take because I prefer the tactile feel of brushes in hand and paint in hand and going about it that way. But you can get some beautiful effects and results with an airbrush as well as with paintbrushes. So if it is something you are looking to dabble in and get started in, I am going to highly advise that you start watching YouTube videos of miniature painters who use their airbrushes and see what their tips and tricks are, what they do. I know that Wylock on Wylock's Armory on YouTube, he has a fantastic starter how-to for airbrushes. I would highly recommend going over there and checking out his work as a get started, even down to what supplies and everything like that. And then just sort of poke around and see what other miniature artists are out there and what they do with their airbrushes.
That is super good to know because my partner actually has an airbrush and came over. We went over to a friend's house. It was about a month and a half, 2 months ago, and we were actually experimenting with that exact thing. They were trying out using an airbrush on a bunch of minis without doing any of the work that you had talked about. Just kind of like, hey, I wonder what this is like. And especially since our friend has a 3D printer. And we were experimenting with stuff like, okay, how does the paint get onto a variety of minis? How does the paint work with the 3D printed stuff that he's been using? And while I cannot speak from any sort of experience, that very basic fun that we were having, what we found was it was really nice for getting a coat of paint over a large miniature very, very fast.
Yeah.
So like they were, I think we actually had a blue dragon and then there was a couple of other large ones. So like just I want to get a coat of blue over this whole thing, just like as a base coat to start. It was really, really good and fast.
Yep.
But I'm not sure about details, and like I definitely would need to look at more specifics in order for more advanced techniques.
Yeah.
And certainly after that, we basically came to the same conclusion that you just gave for free for all of our lovely people, which is, hey, go watch a couple of YouTube tutorials.
Yes.
But for something like that, it was fun, but I don't know if I'd want to go from there and keep using the airbrush. So
yeah. And let me clarify the whole washing thing. Not washes and paint, because I saw that I had the chat up and I'm watching you. When I said washing, I mean physically washing with soap and water. There are some miniatures, because of the release agent that is on the mold, for when these miniatures are created, you have to take soap and water to wash the miniatures, but they can't be primed. The WizKids miniatures are primed, which means you should not soap and water wash your WizKids miniatures that have prime paint on them, to clarify. So yes, this Dargan came primed ahead of time, and now we are doing a paint wash on it. I know it's fun when the terms have similar meanings. He's watching. I need to change my shirt. It's okay. Don't worry. I can't see you. You can see us. So that is what I meant by washes. But in terms of the dry brush, or not the dry brush, the airbrush and the paint brushes, I will use my airbrush for like mass priming. When I have miniatures that aren't primed ahead of time, I will prime them that way with my airbrush. I will also like prime them all in black, and then if I want to do source lighting, I'll then take my white and I'll angle my airbrush in the sky and shoot that down so that you get like this really cool lighting effect that happens when you go to paint your miniatures. So there's some cool ways you can still use an airbrush even if you are a paintbrush preferred painter, which I guess is a thing. So I just made it up. So there's that too. Okay, so I have my darling, I don't even have a name for this one yet. I kind of, peppermint or spearmint.
Oh, wow, that came quick.
I'm thinking like fun, like holiday feeling. I don't know. So spearmint's the green one, right?
I think so.
Is that right? Mint?
I think so, yeah, because peppermint is usually
like
the white and red. Yeah.
And spearmint they do. So this is going to be spearmint. I'm going to name this.
Flexbone FTW suggests Bob. I mean, Bob. It's a solid name.
I already have a Bob, though. That's the problem.
Well, I'm gonna continue to take suggestions, because we're gonna be doing this dragon for a while. So we'll see as we get into other colors and fun stuff what happens. But I believe at this point we're going on to the base.
Yes, because we want to make sure you can't go and do anything else with this Dargan until it is dry. Now that it's had its paint wash, you want to make sure all of that is dry, because if you try and go in with any paint colors, what's going to happen is you're going to pull up the wash and mix it with the paint, and it's good. Oh, that's really cute. How about Jolly, since he's green and a giant?
Yeah, there's some good. I was gonna wait for you to be done.
I'm
but
sorry.
I saw Naki RLE saying Ivy and Cuffbox saying Rudolfo.
I think we're getting
Saint
into
Isidore
a
saying
hole.
Wintergreen.
Are we getting?
And...
Oh, okay. So see, I'm not married to spearmint. So what if we did like a fun poll again, like what we did with the other ones? Remember?
I think because we're probably going to be doing this dragon past the holidays.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I don't mind giving it a holiday name, but I kind of want to go with the really classic green, and
okay,
it's like something that we got, either that's the official art or like the art we got at the bottom there. Mm-hmm. So, but keep those suggestions coming, because
they're fun.
We both need names. Yeah,
I like it. So we're gonna focus on the base, and I was very much tickled by the fact that like she keeps doing earth bases. Well, for the past few minis we've done, they've all been earth bases.
Yep.
And I am happy to report that we finally are getting into a stone boulder base. So we're going to have some fun with this. Now, you'll notice that I have lined up in front of me all of these different colored paints. We're not going to be doing the red, yellow, and blue mixing like we've been doing for pretty much this entire season, because I find with the larger miniatures, it helps to have the bottles of paint pretty much ahead. It doesn't mean that we're not going to customize these a little bit, but we are going to start working off of some pre-mixed colored paints. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to source into this lineup right here. So we're going to be looking at Dead White, Stonewall Gray, Classic Black, Bone White, Leather Brown, and Beastie Brown.
And Beastie Brown.
Yes.
Got him.
So what is fun, you'll see on here, you have all of these different rocks and boulders. You have the smaller rocks sprinkled on top of the boulders. So I'm just going to have fun. I'm going to start with, I'm going to pick a color at random and just start painting here and there that color, switch to a new color, paint here and there a couple of boulders, and then switch to another color, paint here and there, and kind of continue through. So what I'm actually going to do first is mix a darker gray with my white and my black and start with that and paint a couple boulders. Then I'll move up and through my stone wall and all these other brown colors. And you can mix them a little bit if you want to, Lauren, to kind of get different tones of browns if you want to. But this is, we're going to have some fun with the base here and get some colors going. And these are going to be the base colors that we're putting on. No pun intended. Base colors are going onto the base.
Hey, now have we thought at all? Because it's hard for me to show off, but like there's the bigger boulders and then there's these little tiny ones, and a bunch of them actually look like crystals, and I'm kind of wondering.
You want to do like a fun little crystalline look?
I'm kind of thinking like it could be fun to have this dragon flying over like a crystal cavern or something.
Okay, so we were talking about the eye color when we start doing the detail work. So what we can do is when we start jumping into the detail work, we can kind of make these look like blue crystals to play off the blue eyes when we get to that point. Do you want to do that?
Ooh, yeah, like blue and maybe even a purple. Like, go for those two.
Okay.
I like that idea.
Yeah. All right. So cool. Then I know as I prep my notes later on down the line that we're going to do blue and purple crystals for the smaller ones. So we're going to focus the paint of the stones onto the flat boulders, and then we'll leave these little guys that are a higher level than the other ones. We'll leave those to be our crystals.
I love it. I love it.
Cool.
I'm just looking at some of these. I'm like, ooh, that'd be nice.
Yeah,
maybe it's just because we were talking about gem dragons.
I love it. Well, also, like we had from the Trials of Mount Tiamat, didn't they? No, I'm thinking of it. No, take it back.
You're thinking of Dragons for Dinner. You're thinking.
I'm thinking Dragons for Dinner. I was like, no, I'm thinking of a completely different game that happened around the same time.
Yep. All right, so you said we're grabbing the Stonewall Gray.
I'm grabbing the white and the black to make a darker gray.
Okay.
Like a nice dark gray, and then I'll jump to Stonewall Gray.
All right. And what size are we making each of these white and black dots?
Oh, that's right, because the white's not even showing with my palette. I'm doing a pea size of white and a pea size of black and mixing them together.
All right. Good to know.
Yeah.
Pea size white. Pea size
look
black.
at my white. Is there...
I almost went Billy Joel for a second. Bottle of white.
Bottle of white, bottle of black. All right. I have to stab my white because my white had a little glob at the top. I have this lovely metal... It's supposed to be a hair thing, but it is so sharp, I've turned it into my stabby thing for white. Or for, not white, for bottles that have gotten sort of clogged up on me.
I was just doing that, as V knows, I was just doing that before the show because I'm like, some of these bottles I haven't opened in a while, and there's nothing more terrifying than going to squeeze a bottle of paint and nothing coming out.
Yes.
And that moment of, oh
no.
dear. Oh, this is bad.
Oh, no.
Oh,
no.
no.
All right, so I'm going to go back to my number 5.
All right.
And I'm going to start mixing and then painting. Now, just make sure when you're mixing, you don't have it go all the way up to the metallic part of your brush, because then it's going to start to make your bristles flare out. But I'm just going to get lightly mixing and mixing some more. I might actually add a little bit more black, because I want that to be a darker gray.
Ooh, and we've got a very timely question.
Yes.
I'm going to try to pronounce this, and I apologize in advance. Katenviot? There's some numbers in there. Okay. Is there a way to easily avoid painting on the clear portion? I think they're specifically talking about how I just threw the idea of these rocks being crystals at you. Is there a way to avoid painting there, an easy way, or is it just we're going to do the other rocks first, and if we have to paint over it,
paint
it's okay?
Over, quite frankly, because, well, those technically are clear. If you mean the clear post itself, there are products out there that you can use to paint on top of clear elements if you want to, and then feasibly peel them away, which are great, which are cool. It kind of turns into one of those things of what exactly you want to have in your arsenal. Personally, because I know of the trick of you just take rubbing alcohol, which is cheap and abundant and always in my house. I will not get worried about getting that onto my clear plastics and just use the rubbing alcohol trick to remove the paint that I might accidentally get on there. And I forgot, because I switched over to my Game Color line black, that this stuff is thinner than my Model Color line black. So I'm actually adding in a lot more black than I intended. But I'm getting to a color I want now.
And that's the important bit. Get to the color you want.
Exactly.
But that's and Flanagan wants to know, have you tried to transform some mini to make a hero? And I think you're talking about a champion specifically, because the next thing that they ask is, I think this dragon can apply to Orkira. We've thought about it. I think the fun thing right now is the fact that we're focused on minis that all of you can easily get. Whereas champions, in any of the champions, basically, those are going to be like custom 3D printed.
Yeah.
But certainly getting yourself either going to a place like Hero Forge or Eldritch Foundry and ordering a custom mini that you can then paint or get painted for you, so that you can have either your specific D&D PC or one of the other champions from the game is super fun. And you can't see them because they're over there and kind of hidden in the dark, but I have a couple Orkira minis, a couple that I have painted, a couple that people, very, very wonderful people, have made for me and painted, especially the D4 crew. Nothing like having custom people who are professionals at making things like models and all kinds of costumes and apparel and things for cosplay make you a mini, because you end up with a really nice mini.
Yeah, right?
So yeah, definitely we'll probably stick for the most part with characters that you can just go to your friendly local game store and pick up and join with us. It is super fun to make yourself your own custom, I'm going to say a character, but if you want to go for one of the champions too, if you want to make, Minsk and Boo, they're out there.
I mean, we could always, because I know there are, like, you're listing off characters that I already in my mind know there's some miniatures that we could paint to look like.
That's true.
They may not be exactly the same full, like, same type of armor, et cetera, but we could paint them to look like the various champions, and they would still be WizKids minis.
Yeah. If you do have suggestions, go ahead and put them in chat. We will listen. Yeah. We're gonna be doing the Dargon for a little while, and I got a couple of other ideas for once we get into 2022. But we're always interested in painting ideas, and in the end, like, the fun of this is learning the technique so you can go out and do this yourself on whatever mini you want. So
exactly.
If painting an orc, I mean, you're not going to get a gold dragon painted as Orkira because Orkara would be upset. But maybe, we've talked about doing a phoenix before. So
Yeah, that has come up.
now we're just doing kind of a couple of random big
Yeah,
rocks with this, right?
there's no rhyme or reason to this. I'm just like, I'm gonna paint you gray, and then you're also gonna paint it a dark gray, and then I'm gonna move on to another color and paint the other stones. Just a variety. So we get a mix of colors here.
I like it.
Yeah, and don't worry about getting paint on what we're gonna end up doing, like that crystal look too, because we're going to have to by default go back and we're going to paint those white. So we can have a nice fresh base underneath to really make the colors of the purple and the blue pop. So don't worry about if you get, because I'm just painting through, and that way you don't end up like with weird delineations between the gray and your crystal colors. It'll actually work a lot better that way.
That makes total sense.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, because I'm trying to avoid it. I'm doing a pretty good job, but I'm like, well, I got some gray on there. I guess I'll just put an extra layer
totally
of
cool.
of purple on there. But if we're gonna go back and do white and then the
to.
color, that makes
Yeah.
a lot more sense.
We will absolutely have to. So I'm done with my mix of a darker gray, and I'm going to. And she says that, and then she sees a spot. I missed the spot.
Always spots. Every spot. Yep. I just finished with mine.
Whoops a daisy.
Oh, and TTRP Gifts has arrived in time to ask, oh boy, is there a Phoenix mini? We've looked around.
There's minis out there, but I think it's been more of the aesthetic that didn't seem quite the fit.
We're still
We're still
looking.
looking.
We're still looking.
We're still window shopping.
But yes, there were a couple of
down.
options. There isn't specifically. We've been sticking pretty much to WizKids, not just because V is incredibly conversant in all of the WizKids minis, but because they have the official D&D minis.
Exactly.
And they haven't put out the Elder Elemental line yet. So
Yeah. So
we're moving on to Browns. We're doing Beastie.
Oh yes,
Brown?
I'm sorry. We're hopping over to Beastie Brown.
All right.
And again, it's just whichever Boulder speaks to you at the moment.
And Kiovit1 asks, is there a reason we are not paint washing the base?
Because it doesn't have as many of those little finite details in the dragon that are harder to see.
Which I can see right away. Like, there's just not nearly as many details, but we will be, I'm assuming,
it will get a wash in the end. Yeah, because what we'll do is we'll get the different colors on. Once it dries, it'll get a common color dry brush, and then we will do a for you, a black wash, and I'll use the Nuln Oil wash, which will then bring out what details there are in the base, but we don't necessarily need to highlight ahead of time.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, it was just the dragon is special. The dragon was extra special.
Yeah.
Oh, what other rock speaks to me? Oh, that rock speaks to me. Let's go for that one.
There you go. Of course, I have been sitting here with the "I want a rock" stuck in my head now. Help!
Always end up with a fun song from this. I'm okay with that. I want a rock. I want this rock to speak to me.
At least it's not. I always tend to get Paint It Black also stuck in my head sometimes.
As soon as you say Paint It Black, then I am enough of a fan of a while ago the Westworld series that came out.
Yeah.
The first season specifically, the orchestral version of Paint It Black.
Oh yeah, that
is
was
amazing,
stunning. God.
If you ever want to hear epic bassoon solo, go listen to the orchestral Westworld version of Paint It Black. It's so good.
It's incredible.
Yeah. Oh, here we go. I think I'm getting. We might be getting from the mods some specifics about how to pronounce some names because I am that person. But first, Garwar says, for someone who has minis but doesn't really paint, is there an easy way to find someone to hire to paint minis? Ooh, good question.
That is an excellent question. Here's what I'm going to recommend to you, my friend. I would recommend go on to Twitter. I actually just got tagged in a lovely post. Some wonderful people recommended me, and I did a retweet last night. If you go into that post, a lot of people who are also mentioned along with myself are people who take commissions, and they're people who I would feel confident in approach and see what their rates are and if they are taking commissions at the time. The other thing you can do is there are various miniature groups, whether it's Discord, Facebook, that type of thing. You can join those and see if there are people who offer commissions. Once you've kind of seen what their work is and what they're sharing, if you like their style, approach them. But always make sure whenever you approach a person for a commission that you are, first of all, liking how they paint their minis, because how they paint is how they're going to paint your miniature. And also be aware of the fact that there will be obviously a commission fee that goes along with it. The more experienced, the more in demand they are, the higher the commission will be. Someone who is just starting out might have a lower commission fee, and that is perfectly normal. So just be ready to get a variety of various quotes as you're in the process of looking for a miniature painter for your minis. And sometimes some will give bulk deals, depending on how many minis you want to go in and have painted up at the same time.
Now, this may seem like a weird question around the holidays, because I just always assume everything around the holidays gets slightly more expensive and slightly more difficult because people get busy, and either with personal projects or with just being able to, they can only do so many things at a time. But is commissioning people for custom minis a thing that people do for the holidays?
Yes, I used to get hired for a lot of Christmas and holiday gifts when I would take commissions. Not taking commissions, sorry folks, no time. Let me just say that right now. When I used to do commission work, I would get requested in August. As usually the window is when you would need to start approaching people for custom miniatures for a present during the winter holidays that crop up. Because they'll be high in demand, it takes time, etc., etc. But you could always hire someone after the fact, after you've given the miniature, be like, hey, we're also going to find someone to paint the mini for you. You can do that too.
Ooh,
yeah.
That's a good idea, especially now since it's probably way too late, unless you're super lucky to find someone who can paint in time for Christmas.
Yeah, it gets a little tricky the closer you get to the big holidays. I will say that for sure. Okay, so I'm going to go on with Stonewall Gray now. But I have the Beastie Brown.
Yep,
and
I'm finishing up
Beastie Boys are in my head now.
I'm finishing up my last Beastie Brown one right now, and this
go.
one definitely I've been still trying to avoid the crystals because I just can't help myself, but this one the crystals are just getting painted brown. It's just gonna happen.
Gonna jump down to my number one brush because some of these are going to be a little bit smaller and I can line around a little bit more easily.
Oh, yeah, that is actually a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Beastie. I'm sorry, you said Stonewall Gray.
Stonewall Gray, which is just a touch darker than what is already on for a primer. So it's going to be really hard to show you on camera, but trust me, it's happening. Yes, this is happening. Yes, this is happening.
All right. Oh, and Reds fan 73 wants to know, what is the smallest mini in D&D? Ooh.
Oh,
I'd imagine like a familiar or something.
Gazers. I'm not kidding. They are these wee little pinpoints with tentacly things sticking out of their heads. They are small, SMO small. And a few of the familiars too are also quite wee. So yeah, when you're falling into like some of the familiar animals, rats, the gazers, yeah.
So one of the characters that I played back in 4th edition actually was they were a shapeshifter that could shapeshift into a dog. In 4th edition there was a specific race that you couldn't shift in. You weren't like a shapeshifter who could turn into anything. You could turn into one specific creature. What I loved about that one was one of the options was dog. It wasn't wolf. It wasn't, it wasn't something epic. It was dog. Which I loved. And I don't remember where we got this mini from, but I have back there. It's this tiny, tiny little dog. It is like the tiniest dog, and it's adorable. But it is tiny, tiny, tiny. And so there's like no details on this dog because I did paint this dog, but it's got nothing. It is basically just a color, but my character, because I love the fact that they could just turn into a dog, their dog form was very much a mutt, kind of a shaggy, your classic holiday find at the pound mutt.
Oh, yeah. Like a Benji?
Yeah, although slightly bigger. I always imagine them like husky sized,
Oh,
like
yeah.
a larger size but very shaggy, very
Oops.
the kind of dog you're going to look at and have the 10 minutes of, well, they've got the head of a this and they've got
Uh-huh.
the body of a this
Uh-huh.
and that kind
Yeah.
of thing.
Yeah, I know
So
what you mean.
it kind of worked because of the fact that I just made them all one color. But this mini was so tiny. I think I've seen
Yeah.
bats that
Oh,
are
yeah.
really small.
It's when you start getting into like the animals that they get to be much smaller, and that's where you definitely want to make sure you're sticking them onto something. Whoops, I just kicked my desk, so there's camera wobble. For apologies. But definitely those gazers were small. Also, like prop things like bottles. I've painted bottles that are very small. I've done
Oh,
books that are very small. No,
that makes sense.
yeah. Hold on. I'm trying to remember my approach here.
Well, yeah, you weren't wrong about this gray being almost the exact same
Yeah.
color as the primer.
But then as it dries, that's the fun thing about Stonewall. It gets darker.
Ah,
So you
okay.
can see it's darkening up as it dries.
Also, just not having the primer has a very specific sheen to it, or just like the basic mini that actual paint does not.
Yeah.
And so
It
it's definitely good to get something on
yeah.
there. Also, I got some gray on my brown. I'm having to grab some water and be like, no, no,
Yeah.
no, 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 no.
That's gonna happen. I did the same thing too. I might go back and fine tune with a back and forth once I get the actual base colors on the base. Move forward a little bit.
I gotta say, I'm excited about the crystals. I'm sorry that I kind of threw that at you last
No,
minute. But the
are
more
you
I was looking
kidding
at them,
me?
more I'm like, ooh,
I love
crystals.
stuff like that. I riff. This is why I like painting with you because we can riff on ideas and I can adjust course as we go along.
Yeah, this is
I'm
gonna
all
be
for it.
fun. And yeah, maybe it is. I just have been thinking about all of the different dragons and Fizbins um and those all the gem dragons and everything, and thinking about crystals and
Yeah.
all kinds of fun stuff like that.
We're gonna wanna. So yeah, we'll want a blue and we'll want. You have a purple in that set, right? I have to look at the list again.
Yeah, there
Okay, so a
is.
blue and a purple, and then we'll want the silver so we can do the fun little crystalline sheen.
Ooh, nice.
I have specialty paints that I could use to show off how to make things look like crystals right quick. But we can also work with what you have on deck as well.
Absolutely. Let me pull up some more questions.
Sounds good to me.
Oh, so along the same lines of I'm getting a sense that the reason you went straight for gazers for the smallest mini is because that you've probably painted them. Because now Chad is asking, what is the smallest mini you've painted? Is it the gazer?
It'd be the bottles. It'd be the
The
little
bottles?
yeah, it'd be the bottles and the mugs. I painted like little tiny individual mugs for a bar. Those were tiny. Oh yes, yes, those are very tiny. What else? See, now y'all have me thinking.
Ah, we're making you think and paint at the same time.
Think and
No.
paint. Think and paint. This is paint and slay, not think and paint.
This is a wrong show. Don't make
I
us think we're just having fun.
fully kidding. Yeah, I think it would have to be. Honestly, the accessory stuff is what gets really small really fast,
Yeah, that makes
and the
sense.
familiars.
That definitely makes sense. Are we going to be doing one more color, or
Yeah, I
are
think I'm
these
gonna
the...
jump into leather brown.
Okay.
So we have two of the grays and two of the browns, just
Ooh, I
for
like it. Yeah.
whoops, no, put that there to dry, for the sake of variety.
Peachy brown.
And leather brown.
Where'd my leather brown go? Oh, there we go. You need a bit of a shake.
And yes, I am doing my color gradation.
All right.
All right, rinsing well, and then I'm gonna go in for leather brown.
Ooh, all right. And also, our moderators have done an excellent job of grabbing name suggestions for these
like it.
dragons. Thank you so much to Martin and Mars. If you do have, since we're an hour in, if you're joining us right now, we're painting a green dragon, although we're specifically working on the base right now. And
They're still drying a little bit, but we've done.
Yeah, we did a pre-wash before the paint. But if you do have any questions about painting, about Idle Champions, about green dragons, go ahead and put those in chat so our moderators can grab them. But let me offer unto you and our wonderful people, listeners at home, some green dragon names. So from Garwar,
Ah,
we have holly, mistletoe, fir, and pine. So a nice classic collection there. We have from Counting Coup. Oh, they have the scientific name for spearmint. Here we
okay.
go. Menthus spicata,
Okay.
with a apostrophe in the middle, which automatically makes it a much more fantasy name.
Yes.
JDog2773, who suggests halitosis, which is
Oh.
very appropriate for Green
Oh,
Dragon.
yes.
Bonnigan's suggests the Grinch, which is very holiday and green.
Uh-huh.
Trafalgar123 says blue spruce needle green, which I like. I like as a descriptor.
Mm-hmm.
Slay and M says Gifty, the dragon who saved Christmas. So we could have both the Grinch and the dragon that saved Christmas and Gifty.
Oh my gosh.
Irene UK says frankincense or myrrh, which is very holiday appropriate. And the lurking writer says Viridian. VEE apostrophe.
Oh no.
Viridian.
Okay.
Kind of like.
I may have to reconsider Myrrh because I actually have a druid. Her name is Myrrh.
Ooh, there you go.
That could be fun.
Yeah.
And she's very green in her theme colors, I will say that.
Druids do tend to lean towards the green if
Yeah.
they're the more classic druid that is all about the nature. I've been playing around with a druid idea that is a circle of the stars.
Ooh.
Did I say that correctly? Why do I think that's wrong? I don't know why. Anyway, the star druid, which is going into more blues and blacks and browns and
Nice.
nighttime sky kind of
Oh, I love
colors,
that.
which is a fun way to think about a druid.
Yeah.
But yes, always got a little bit of that green and brown in there for the nature druid. Makes total sense. I'm personally leaning towards the non-holiday names, mostly because I know we're going to be working on this dragon post-holiday, but I think the holiday names are really, really
They're
good.
adorable.
Yeah, I am impressed with chat. I'm always impressed with chat.
Yeah. Chat does a great job with names, quite frankly.
Yeah. Between this show and sketching hour, I can always rely on chat to come up with some absolutely banger names. Just like, the next time I need to name a D&D character, I'm not going to go through like some of the random names.
Chat.
I'm just going to go to chat and be like, help,
Hey,
help,
chat.
help,
Chat.
help,
Hi.
help. Yeah. The only thing you always have to do with chat is if you are looking for a serious name, you do have to tell them serious in advance because I think we tend to go a little silly otherwise, which is totally fair.
Whimsical.
Whimsical is good, but sometimes it's good to not have the silly name, especially if you're trying to create a character that might have, that might lean into the silly in other ways. Sometimes also having a silly name is a bit too much, and that's as vague as I want to get with that.
That is utterly fair.
And then sometimes you have a super serious character, and then you want them to be, Sir Bob's a lot.
Right.
I had a cleric named Clyde for a very long time.
Clyde the cleric.
That was a very serious character with a not so serious name. Clyde was fun. I miss Clyde.
That's amazing.
All right. Got one more rock.
Yeah, I have two.
One more rock. These are fun though. I really like how they're all rock colors, but we're getting the nice variety in. Yeah. So like it's a nice multi-hued.
Yeah. Gives a little bit more visual interest that way.
Yeah. And a couple more questions have come on in.
Hello, questions.
Nakiarelli says, if someone has never painted a mini before, what non-obvious things should they get that they might not know about? Like not paint or brushes or the mini itself.
Empty paint bottle and blue tack.
Ooh.
Because you're going to want that mini holder.
My suggestion, as I have learned from experience, get yourself not just paper plates, but try to get the paper plates that have that are waterproof, so that they work with the paints a little bit longer. So paper plates are on the list of things on our Discord for kind of your basic supplies. But specifically, if you can find paper, and you should be able to find paper plates that do this, but look for the paper plates, spend the extra 50 cents and get paper plates that are waterproof. Yeah. I have found myself that they work a lot better with your paint, not just like soaking into the paper plate, and then suddenly you go to put your paintbrush into the paint and it's like, why is this hard? Kink. So yeah, that would be my non-obvious suggestion. It's not the end of the world when
no, it's a good one though.
Yeah, when it happened, it was just like, oh, I need to use more paint. But yeah, finding a couple of paper plates that have whatever that coating is to help them.
Wax, I believe. It's like a wax coating that goes onto it.
Yeah, it's definitely helped with, especially when we've had those moments of like, hey, go back to this color that you were using a little while ago so that you can now do this thing with it. I can now do that because it hasn't just hardened up and dried.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
There we go.
Yeah, see?
Hey, I have managed to not get onto the crystals in a couple places.
I am impressed.
Ridiculously proud of that.
You should be, because I honestly, I hit the I don't care, I'm just going to paint it white later. Like, I'll get to that later.
Yeah, there were a couple of these rocks that was just like, okay, I'm just, crystals. Happening crystals. And of course, now is the time that I'm seeing all of the spots that I missed, so... Like, hey, I'm done. No, wait.
No, wait.
Nope, wait. Let me go on back. And
just a moment.
Yeah, those moments in where I'm like, I thought I got everything, but nope, that was just literally a trick of the light.
Now, we are going to have some extra fun with this once we get all the details and whatever done, and we're going to embellish the base.
Ooh.
Towards the end of our journey with our dragon.
All right.
But that won't be happening today, folks. But I will show you, really quick, what I am plotting. Ooh. Just in case anyone is playing the home game and painting along with us, to give you a chance to purchase what I'm going to show you, because it's one of those things I went down to my art table and I saw this and I was like, oh yeah, I forgot, I want to do that. And I can also get it out into the mail for you, Lauren.
Oh, good. Garwicket says, I wonder if they have mini bookcases. I'd love to try to paint one as a first effort. Might be forgiving of mistakes. Ooh, that's an interesting way to think about it.
There is. It's the Wizard's Library from WizKids. It's a full throttle library set. It is lovely. It is beautiful. They also have like a desk set that has some books. But yeah, there is a library set out there that's floating around.
And Cassie's 335 says, I wonder if Lauren is talking about her kobold family renames. I mean, I will neither confirm nor deny that. Teehee. And Trafalgar123 says, are you going to add moss or lichen to the boulders?
Funny you should ask.
Oh, that's very funny that you should ask.
Funny you should ask that. In fact, as soon as I get this little stone painted, I will show you what's dancing around in my noggin.
Ooh.
Because I thought it could be kind of fun.
There we go. It's a little hard to see because I don't want to actually touch the base I'm holding on to. So I'm like, here, we can show this.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love the variety of colors that we're getting with this, and yet they are still all very clearly stones.
Yep.
I'll just hold this over my face. That's how it works.
There you go.
Face stone.
That's just it. You have to hide your face for it to translate into, oh, this is where it wants me to focus now.
Yeah. Oh.
And right now it seems very like brighter and more vivid colors of stone. Don't forget, we are going to be doing a dry brush over this, and then also a black wash, which will immediately bring the color tones down at least 3 levels. So that's why if you're like, well, those are kind of bright, I'm like, they're gonna get muted more into each other, so it's not gonna be as drastic as a color difference. That reminds me, we want to make sure we do that before we do the crystal work.
So that the crystals can still stand out a bit more.
Exactly. It's like, oh, so that the crystals don't get muted. We don't want to mute the crystals. Yeah. All right, let me just do a quick touch up here because I did see a spot.
Well, and I also don't mind if the colors are a little bit more vivid. If, you know, I like the idea of making them more muted so that they're more stone-like, but I'm once again picturing we're going to have this big green mass over it. And so having the contrast there is going to be super cool.
Yeah. Okay.
JDog2773, real quick, has a compliment for you and wants to know if you have the entire WizKids catalog memorized.
Not all of it.
But, you know, I think it's impressive.
Considering my background, there's a good chunk in my noggin.
Yeah. It's like she's an expert, and there's a reason that we have her as the person teaching on this show and me as the apprentice.
Oh, God.
Oops,
okay.
So whacked my own camera. There we go.
As that's drying, and as the question came up, hold on, I'm looking for things to. Where did I put it? Okay.
So I'm gonna go back to showing off this dragon because this
it.
looks super cool with all of the details.
Really
even with my not exactly focused camera. Like, just being able to see all of the details on it is amazing. And
it makes
almost
huge difference. Yeah, mine is almost dry as well. There's like, actually, it's looking pretty decent. So, if you go into your local pet store, not kidding, if you can get the aquarium plants that are plastic base, oftentimes they are fantastic for, you can snip these apart and use super glue. You can even use E6000 and hot glue if you're feeling brave, but very, very careful with hot glue and just painted miniatures, because if you misplace it and pull up, you're going to pull the paint up. But you can go in and you can actually super glue these in little tufts onto the base to kind of give it the effect of like little plants and things growing out of it. There are moss options as well. If you go into the floral department, you will see there is, make sure it is, and this is important, make sure it is preserved moss. It is going to smell to high heaven because of the preservatives. If you use what's dubbed as natural moss from the floral department, it will disintegrate after about a couple years. I know, I used to be a florist. So go for your preserved moss if you want to use that to add moss details. And you can also have fun and go into Army Painter and get the tufts of grass as well, to add little tufts of grass. And they do have something called, and this is what we talked about with Erin when we were doing our lovely guest that we had in last episode. You can also grab some flocking, which will also give things a mossy effect. And that's just putting down a little bit of Elmer's glue, sprinkling the flocking on top, and then shaking off the excess. And then you would have this texture of moss on there. I do have flocking as well, but it gets really messy really fast.
Oh, okay. Good to know.
I will say that. So I thought it'd be fun to kind of do a combination of these grass tufts and doing little snippets from this aquarium plant that I have. I thought it could be a fun thing to add onto the base, but we will do that once we get everything painted, washed, sealed. That's important. You want to make sure you seal it, and then we can put these fun little doodads on. But that was sort of where my mind was going for finishing the base. I thought we could have some fun since we have a bigger miniature, like do a bigger treatment on the base. But my base is going to dry now because it needs to.
Yep, mine too.
I'm going to set over to the side, and I think my Dargan's looking pretty darn ready for some colors. What do you think for yours?
Yeah, I think so.
You feeling ready for it?
Let's do it. Let's get some color on here before we end for the day.
Yes, because we're getting to the point. I think what we can do is, she says as she looks, let's focus on working with the dark green.
Okay.
And let me check out my notes. Yeah. Because that's the one.
All my colors here.
That's the one we're using straight up as is, so we don't have to worry about mixing again later on down the line.
So literal dark green.
Literal dark green from the Vallejo game color line. All right. Which, if you're using a more generic type of paint, you're looking for an emerald green, or like a classic dark Kelly green. Because yes, you can use other paints if you want. You don't have to use Vallejo.
Yep.
Pardon my hiccup.
So find yourself a color that looks close and that you are happy with. And I'm assuming we're going to want a fairly decent
dab.
Of this.
Yeah, a decent dab will do you. But because we aren't mixing this color, we can actually put a dab on, and if we need more, we can go back to it easily enough.
That's true. Also, thank you so much, Flexbone FTW. I just wanted to say that I like having this on in the background. I can do... Whoop, I just lost the comment.
Oh, no.
I can do my own thing and check in on the proceedings of skilled people of fun doing what they do. Well, thank you. Mm-hmm. I'm glad that you're enjoying this. And definitely, if there's anybody else at home who is looking to paint your own mini and join with us, take some pictures, put them up on socials, and let us know, because it's fun.
It
All
is.
Right. What are we attacking first?
A lot. So I have my notes here on the side, so I'm not just sitting here like hemming and hawing the whole time. So this dark green we're actually going to put on the back, which means this back panel through here, those back plates, which might be the easiest place to start, because I can tell you with all these nooks and crannies happening, it's going to take us a while. So I say let's focus on getting dark green onto these back plates here. And then once we get those done, we'll move on to different areas that we'll also get. So when I say the back plates, I also mean what's happening once we get down the back. Hold on, angle. Down the back, and then you'll see here around the neck and up to the head. And then the head itself will paint this dark green through here. The upper portion of the head. Hold on. One moment.
The head.
This is why it helps to have a dragon skull. This portion.
things you get to say because of D&D. This is why it's helpful to have a dragon skull.
But this is the part of the skull you want to be painting that dark green, folks. I'm sorry, but it's honestly the best way to show you in a larger scale.
Nope, totally works. And what paintbrush are we going to use?
I'm going to start with my number 1. However, we might want to drop it down to a finer detail brush now that I'm looking at things. So I think I'm going to go in and snag my, we're going to go for the 10/02.
All right.
So I'm going to be dancing between my number 1 and my 10/0, both from the Mod Podge group pack that I really honestly enjoy and appreciate as a painter, as well as suggesting for early painters. Now, in terms of thickness, you do want to make sure that this is sort of the consistency of a heavy cream or maple syrup, which this is mine's kind of bordering on ketchup, which I'm not surprised because I haven't used this paint in a while. So I'm going to thin mine out little by little by just dipping my brush in. And I know from the time that I'm going to be able to refresh this water next go around. So I actually just kind of put a couple drops of paint onto my brush, and then I'm just going to thin out an edge of my blob until I get the consistency that I want. Like I said, have it like almost like maple syrup like. Or a nice thick heavy cream. Or eggnog.
Ooh.
How's that?
Very appropriate.
That's
yes,
what I'm trying to think. Egg milk, no milk. No, because some milkshakes, gosh, those straws will stick straight up.
All right.
So this is always like where to start. And you'll find it helps. Right now I'm doing like the locking my arms in at my side trick.
Yep.
And then I'm going to start at the top and work my way along the jawline. I am cracking.
Oh yeah,
up.
all the way down to the snout.
Yep. We're going to boop the snoot.
And I'm assuming, like some of the other things that we've been doing, we're not too concerned with getting green, say, on the
mouth.
teeth,
Yeah,
or
don't worry about
in
that.
the mouth. Yeah.
We will address the mouth in a little bit.
We will address that mouth. We will have. I have concerns over the mouth. They will be addressed.
They will be.
And same for the eye, right?
Don't worry about the eye, because we're going to have to dot the eye white and then put the blue in to get that
dotting
intensity.
the eye and crossing T's with this dragon. Mm-hmm.
We're going to be doing a lot with this dragon.
Yeah.
And the one thing to keep in mind is because of the way these plates lip, you will want to kind of tuck your bristles and sort of dab underneath the plates where they sort of overlap each other. Because that will absolutely be a thing where you'll have spaces pop up on you. And this is all about the angles here right now. I had to pull out from underneath because there's no way I can reach this part with my camera in my face. Sorry, folks.
Nope, that's okay. I'll get some questions from chat while we're doing that. Okay. Flanagan wants to know if at some point you can make us a tour of your favorite models that you have. So the favorite miniatures that you have painted that you can show on camera.
Oh my, that could be fun. Idea.
Yeah.
That could be a fun idea for sure. Maybe what we could do is get a list of monsters we have in game and see if they correlate with ones that I have that have been favorites that I've painted.
Ooh, yeah. And that would be a giant list for sure because there's a lot of creatures in the game. This game has been going on for multiple years, so definitely chances are good that there's going to be creatures that you enjoy are going to be in there.
Mm-hmm. And don't worry about getting the horns that are at the top of the head because we will go back and address those with a different color later. Trying to paint around that is going to be a headache and a half.
Now, do you suggest kind of going down one side and then doing the other, or do you
kind of what I do personally? Just my method of approach. I'm going to paint the head in its entirety, then I'm going to shoot down one side and work my way back the other.
Okay.
So I'm going to start getting the head painted, and then I will go side to side.
That makes sense. I was just reaching that point where I'm like, should I switch to the other side of the head, or that works. Yeah, that totally works. Let's see. Lurking Writer, is there a blue one called Alba? Well, we'll have to do a blue dragon at some point. Yeah, those are fun.
They are fun.
Trafalgar123 is asking, what are the most and least aggressive dragons in D&D? I mean, all of them are aggressive when they are provoked. Yeah. I think if we're talking about the chromatics, whites are definitely the most aggressive. Those are the ones
those are the ones who function more on emotion than thought because they're like the lowest in intelligence factor.
And it's interesting because they're definitely the lowest in intelligence when it comes to dragons.
Yeah.
But they still have a lot of intelligence. They're pretty smart. They're willing to just go all in with claws.
They're the barbarians of the chromatics.
Exactly. Not necessarily unintelligent, just sometimes they don't care. Yeah. And sometimes they're happy to fly into rages.
They're happy to react.
Yeah. And then the most aggressive, I think it depends on your definition of aggressive, because I would definitely say or at least the least aggressive, I should say.
Least aggressive, yeah.
There's definitely, when it comes to the chromatics, I would say greens and blues are the least physically aggressive, but they are devious and cunning and aggressive in non-violent ways.
They're manipulative.
Yeah, but that's fun.
Mm-hmm.
As a DM,
Lord,
those are
that's fun.
Super fun.
Yeah, I want to definitely keep the lower jaw to have fun with it and kind of keep it more in the lighter green now that I'm looking at how these colors are playing.
Yeah.
For funsies.
Well, we got the top of the head going on there, and I'm going to start traveling down one side of these spines.
Yep, I just finished up getting the top of the head here on my side too. And now I'm going to work getting the plates going along one side, and then we'll get along the other side. And I realize I'm lapsing into my Bob Ross, and now we're just going to do a little painting here.
Do happy little dragons.
Happy little dragon scales.
Happy little dragons. And several people in chat are asking, V, where'd you get that dragon skull from?
I don't remember. Oh wait, I do. I got it off of Amazon. I think it was one of those it popped up on my suggested things and I could not resist.
I mean,
It was a
I mean,
little
when
too...
Amazon says, "Hey, we see you like dragons. How would you like a dragon skull to go with your dragons?" It's
Uh-huh.
hard to say no.
It's actually a storage thing too. You can put things in the lower jaw. So
That's awesome.
I'm looking for the perfect set of dice to live in the dragon skull. I'm not at all into playing tabletop games. Can you tell?
Nah, none of us are. Absolutely.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, I want that's now something that I need some of my D&D characters that they can aspire to. I want a dragon skull that I can house things in.
Uh-huh. This is definitely one of them.
I've made a bag of holding out of a dragon skull.
That would be cool.
That would be super cool.
That would be really a
I
lot
could
of
do
fun.
that. And we're going all the way down to the back
All
of
the
the
way
tail
down
with
the
this.
back of the tail. And we're keeping it... We're basically... It's okay if you get some of the green on the shoulder angle. Light. It's okay if you get some of the green on the shoulder here. But you want to be careful about getting it too far into this area. You want to keep it more squarely on the plate. So if you need to switch down to the smaller detail brush, by all means, do so.
I think I'm gonna have to. I think I've already
Yeah.
failed a little bit at that.
That's
but
okay. It's the
I mean,
reason
it's
why
gonna
we're
be
starting
green
with
on
the
green,
dark.
so it
Yeah.
won't be.
And that's why
Yeah.
we started with the dark green, because if anything, it'll start acting like a shadow when you go to put the lighter green on there.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And then all the way to little spiky tail.
Mm-hmm.
Oof. Yeah. I'm liking that color though. That's super.
It's a really
super
lovely,
duper
lovely green.
classic dragon green.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And we are in the last 30 minutes of our show here. So if you are joining us from the game, welcome. Welcome. We're working
Hi.
on our young green dragon. We just did a lot of work on the base. If you are at all interested in playing along with our painting and you want to get all of the same stuff that we are using, I am using all the stuff that you can find in our Discord. If you go to discord.gg/idlechampions, the Paint and Slay channel has the entire list of the paints and brushes. It even talks about making sure you get some paper plates and paper cups and things like that, and which Dargan we are doing. We're off next week because the both of us are gonna be out of town. So we're gonna be a little bit busy, but that'll give you some time to catch up if you happen to be watching on, say, YouTube on the VOD, and then join us in 2 weeks as we will be doing some more awesome stuff with the Dargan. And then we're probably going to continue into the new year, as you know.
Yeah, safe to say this fellow's going to take a few rounds.
Yeah, dragons deserve time.
They do.
You don't want to just rush into dragon layers.
Never rush into layers on a dragon.
Exactly. So we will definitely be continuing this through the new year. So if you are one of those people who's watching at home right now, especially on our YouTube, and are catching up, welcome. And we look forward to seeing and hearing about your painting adventures in the new year. And yeah, I'm just excited that we've got the dragon going.
Me too.
Because I think if you're a D&D player and you're getting into mini painting, I think dragon is just one of those things everybody is excited to paint in some way, even if green is not your favorite dragon. It's just like, ooh, dragons.
Dragon.
It's dragon time.
Yeah. Quite honestly, when I would do painting workshops at conventions and it was like the wormlings, those filled up quickly because dragons, and baby dragons at that.
Yeah.
This one's biting me. Look at that, because of how I'm holding it with the claw.
Yeah, I got the side of the wing going on my finger right now, but but hey, it's
the sacrifices we make for miniature painting.
Exactly. And you know what? These are dangerous creatures, even when you are giving them, spot treatment.
Danger Dargans.
Danger Dargans.
I want a shirt that says that now. Danger Dargans.
Yeah, with the Dargan.
Yes, exactly.
Dargan. Spelled exactly like that.
Danger Dargan.
Oh, I am super excited just to see the green going onto this.
Me too.
Big boy. Just some about finally getting some green on there.
Yeah.
I was really enjoying seeing all of the different details pop as we were doing the wash, but
Mm-hmm.
now actually seeing the green go on is making me so excited in a
Yeah.
way that is like surprising because we've known we're gonna be painting this for a while, and something
Mm-hmm.
about finally getting it on here is super cool.
Oh no, I totally understand that though. Is
And
it your
we're
first dragon? Is this?
first dragon.
Is
I
this?
think so.
Ooh, so
I
then
think this is
yeah,
my first dragon.
definitely. Of course,
Yeah,
there's
because
the excitement.
I am not going to count Dragonborn. That is a different thing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think this is my first
Yay!
Dargan. I am excited.
Awesomes. Now I'm not painting the tip of the tail
Uh-oh.
green. That's okay because
Uh-oh.
I'm gonna paint that later as black, so we're good.
Ah, okay.
It'll get addressed. Don't worry, you're good.
All right. I tipped it.
It's
I
totally
went,
okay.
I got excited.
And
I
if
went
you
all the way to
want
the tip.
to, you can. It's your Dargan.
That's true. That's true. But I like the idea of the because green dragons do have that a lot of them have that stinger for a tail. So I
Yeah.
definitely like the idea of having the black tip tail.
I also just find like tipping the talons and claws and everything with a darker color with the green, it's just a really nice effect. Quite honestly, green and purple together are a lovely combination.
Ooh.
So we could go for like a really super duper dark purple if you wanted to. Because we were talking about like menacing manicures.
Yeah, and especially if you want to lean into the idea of it being a tail that has poison on it.
Mm-hmm.
Purple is also a
Yeah.
poisonous color.
Yeah. So that might be a fun combination. Okay. All right. So we're going to have to add purple to our list of paint colors, but I think it'll be well worth it.
Absolutely. I'm a fan of purple.
Me too.
Oh God, under these plates. Ah,
Under the plates. Yep.
get in there, all the plates.
Get into those
Oh, and we got a
crevasses.
couple more fun questions.
I mean, this chat
Uh,
always has great questions, so.
yeah, the lurking writer wants to know: have we thought about making it look like the boulders have been damaged by acid? Ooh.
Ooh, that's an interesting comment.
Yeah. I think, at least for me, I like the idea of this. This is a dragon that is swooping in,
Mm-hmm.
so I don't want to do acid right away, but I think that's a super cool idea for if you were doing the opposite. If this is like
Yeah,
the dragon had just finished swooping in and it was swooping away,
right.
then leaving an acid trail could be a lot of
That would be a
fun.
neat touch, yeah. We
But I
could
think,
do like a little bit of green, acid green toned paint to make it look like an acid splatter just hit.
ooh,
The other thing is that if you want to have fun and sort of get into a little kit bash here, folks, you can take some nail polish remover, and if you want to sort of pockmark your stones so it looks like there's acid that has eaten away at the stones and create little pools, you can actually take some acetone, make sure it's acetone based nail polish remover, and if you have a paintbrush you're ready to sacrifice, you can take it and dip it into your nail polish remover and then dot it onto your base before you have painted it. This is the thing. Before you've painted it, and let the plastic get eaten away a little bit by the acetone. And then you'll have like these oddball pock marks and distressing of the stone because of it. So you could do that if you want to have that effect added in, but you would have needed to have done that earlier. Because if we do
but
that
that
now, it's going to remove the paint that we just painted.
but that's good to know, especially for like larger dragons. If we were to get into a adult or an ancient dragon, I think
Yeah.
that would be a really cool effect.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's
Uh,
fun to do layer bases where the bases reflect the layer a lot more, especially when you get into larger creatures. I've done that for a few and I've always enjoyed that process. So
yeah.
you are going to notice here there's this little delineation that kicks in
Yeah.
right there, which is where I'm going to be okay and introduce a little bit of green so we can start wrapping around the leg. And there's also a little panel right there on the one side.
Oh, thanks for pointing that out. I totally would have missed that panel.
Yeah, I need to go back and do it on the other side because I was chatting more than focusing.
That's okay.
Yeah.
You're trying to teach and paint at the same time, so there's a lot going on.
Yeah. I'm liking
I'm just
this
trying to
new
make sure that I
mount.
grab all of the corners and everything because
Right.
these look like such simple plates, and then you turn the dragon a different way, and you're like, wait a second.
Nope.
Wait a second.
Exactly.
This is a 3D object. How dare?
How dare you have angles? How dare you be multifaceted?
Oh no.
How could?
Yeah, especially like right by the head, I'm definitely seeing the oh shoot, I missed behind the ears, as it were, which is an interesting thing to say on a dragon.
I lost behind the ears.
Yep. Oh, that is super cool.
I do love this color green, though. It is such a lovely green.
It's a lovely green, and it is so appropriate for this dragon.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Oh, interesting. Irene UK says Dag Ron for the nerdy dragon, as Dag is Australian slang for unfashionable and nerdy.
Huh. Sorry, that was
I
probably
did
very
not
loud.
know that.
Neither did I. I love learning new things like this, though.
All right, I think
Dag run the Dargan.
Dag Ron the Dargron. I want to get them little tiny glasses now, and their own mini. I want this dragon. I want this dragon to reenact that scene from Spaceballs where Dark Helmet is playing with his own dolls. I did not see you play with your dolls, sir.
God, that is like one of the best scenes.
Oh, and
classic moment.
Oh yeah. I could totally see a dragon having minis.
Mm-hmm.
I could totally see that.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Especially the collecting type.
Mm-hmm. All right, I think.
Like beyond like just treasure stuff, I mean like the ones who get into like the artifacts and trinkets and that type of stuff. Oh boy, yeah.
I find that to be the most interesting thing about dragon hoards, and one of the other things that I really love about Fizbins is because like it's such a standard cliche of the giant pile of gold, and yeah, that's super fun.
Right,
it's super fun, but
it is.
All of the really interesting, more esoteric stuff that dragons get into collecting, I love leaning into that, and especially with I've been having fun with the blue dragon, who is an antagonist. And I say that with a question mark because they're not necessarily the main antagonist or a real antagonist, but like the blue dragon that I have in my podcast game, they are they're a classic blue dragon in where they are a collector not just of stuff but of people. And it's people in the way of I think the way it's described in the book is like vassals and things, but like blue dragons especially like to be able to say, these people work for me. You know, I've collected a group of people who are loyal to me, who work for me, who do awesome things with me. Oh, and I see you have started to go down the neck a bit more.
Yeah,
or are these just
these
more
are the plates?
frills?
They're plates that go around the throat.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so those are also getting the darker green treatment.
And yeah, I like that it's not necessarily a thing, you know, and it's not even, you know, I own you. It's not like, you know, a gross slavery thing. No. It is literally like, I know I have hired you to do a thing, and you are powerful people, and thus I am your patron, and so I have the things that you do are because of me. And like that's such an interesting, not necessarily directly antagonistic collector thing.
Right.
That is super cool to realize you might suddenly accidentally be part of a dragon collection.
Yeah.
Even if you are not in a dragon horde. Even if you are a hero. It's like, wait a second. I'm a what?
I'm a what now? You want what now, huh?
Yeah.
Beg your
So yeah,
pardon?
I love all those non-standard
Oh yeah, it's wonderful. It
non-standard
really
collection
is.
things. All right, I'm pretty happy with
Yeah, me too.
how this is looking.
So I'm liking how we have the green going down the back, and what I'm going to do is start working the green along the legs. So we're going to
All
have
right.
it wrapping around. So, I hate saying this, but you know, like when you have a chicken that you're going to roast, we're going to work this around the drumstick part of the legs
Okay.
and down. Does that make sense?
It does. So the
Okay.
places that have like the obvious plates on the dragon legs.
Yeah, we're going to basically, the entirety of the legs are going to be turned dark green.
Ah, okay. Oh yeah, because
Yeah.
especially those both legs
Yeah.
have the chicken legging going down.
Yep.
Well, that makes sense. I might have to
Yeah.
move to the bigger back to the bigger brush for this.
Yeah. Which is okay.
Yeah. Is it back to
It's arguable you could. Now, as I'm saying that. No, I'm gonna go all green on the legs, I think. You could have it where like the inner thighs here could be a lighter green if you want to take it to that extent.
Hmm. I'm gonna think about it because I like that we've focused so much on the obvious plates as where the dark green is.
Yeah.
And the inner thighs are kind of the only place on these legs that don't
Flesh.
have obvious
Yeah.
plates. I kind of like.
Yeah, so if you want to do that, I'd recommend sort of taking the green around the top portion here and then
Yeah.
using the plates here as sort of your natural line through here and then leaving this open for a lighter green.
That makes sense. That is what I will do.
Okay. So yeah, I'll focus the plates more on the dark green.
I also just like the idea of having the multi-toned green on these dragons, especially as it is. This one's not a wormling, so
No.
being able to get the different colors in there is also going to help show off its age, even if it isn't a full adult.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
Absolutely. How are we doing on time? We're getting there.
We're running out. We're running out.
Yeah. That's why I'm glad we were able to start with just the straight up green because this won't affect us if we have to stop where we are and then pick up in a couple weeks because we haven't done a mixing paint.
That's true.
We have just done a straight up paint from the bottle. We know it's going to be the same paint from the bottle when we go to use it in a couple weeks. Not an issue.
Yeah.
So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to run it so that the green goes onto the plates that are going down the shin. And leave this bit exposed to be the lighter green and then turn it dark green again as we get into the tendons. Is how I'm going to treat this.
And I'm assuming once again, don't worry too much about getting green on the claws because
Oh yeah,
we'll be
because
going
we're going
back
to go
over
dark
that.
color. Yeah.
Yeah, we are starting
correct.
to get to the end here. We're going to be stopping shortly, and we'll be picking up in 2 weeks with this dragon, with more darkening. Stick around after this. I believe there's a Garwars guide, if I am correct.
Think so.
The
Yeah.
mods will correct me, I'm sure.
Because the mods are so on top of it, which is wonderful.
Also, I've been told by our mods that it is useful to have a dragon skull moment has been clipped, which makes me happy. That makes me so happy. And then, yeah, if you do, yep, and yes, Garwar is up after this, and
Excellent.
and if you haven't had a chance yet, because we talked about this just a little tiny bit at the beginning, but the latest champion that is going to be coming to Cimmeral next week has been announced. You can check out Yorvin, the murder bunny.
I love it.
I am so excited about Yorvin. Yay. So definitely check out their champion spotlight that just went up a couple of hours ago. And you can get excited about murder bunnies, which I know I am.
Me too.
But yeah, we're coming up on the end of this. So if you have any last minute questions before we have to I say have to turn over to Garwar, but are excited. are
Exactly.
excited to turn it over to Garwar. Definitely let us know if you want to join with us when we come back in 2 weeks with your own Dargan. Then head to our Discord, which is discord.gg/idlechampions, to the Paint and Slay channel, where you can see all of the in the pinned information, all of the information you need in order to join us for Dargan 2021 and 2022, as we are definitely going to be working on this for a little while, because dragons, they deserve some care.
They deserve the time. Okay, so I have the one leg painted up, so you can see how I approached it. So basically I put the darker green on the outside, but left this more fleshier part open to have that become the lighter green that's going to go down the tummy.
And I'm kind of doing the same thing, but I'm a little further on with the
and we are going to do a transition green that's going to blend through here, because you can see there's this slight demarcation that's happening, but because that's going to be a mixing of paint colors, I don't want to do it today, again, because I want to make sure that when we go to do that, we're not frantically trying to recreate the color on a large miniature again. But it gets us to where we kind of need to be. But yeah, I like the way that looks on the leg like that.
Yeah, because we can stop right now, like you said, and then all we got to do is grab that green again, and it's like, it's the exact same color.
Good to go. G2G. Absolutely. I'm going to try and get a little bit more green on, but
Yeah, I'm trying to get both of the back legs done before we finish. And I'm like, I just want to get those back legs.
Just a little bit more.
Please, it's like now I'm just excited to get green on this dragon. I'm like, yes, just a little bit more. Oh, so cool. So cool.
That's just it. Like, you hit those points, you're like, oh, and you start seeing it taking shape in certain respects, and it gets exciting.
Yeah.
I totally just pulled out a frame. Sorry, folks, but I needed an angle without a camera in my face.
Nope. I think everyone understands.
Yeah.
And actually, that is the point where I've got to stop, because I've actually run out of green on my plate.
Well, then that is an excellent sign that you are at the point of stoppage.
I'm at the point of stoppage.
Woohoo!
So next time we'll be finishing up the legs, it sounds like.
Yeah.
And then what else will we be doing next time?
So next time we'll be doing all the legs, we'll be getting those, but then we also have this detail here that we'll want to get with a dark green. So up through here and then down, and then we'll move into the lighter green tones and getting the flesh in the wings itself, the flesh underneath the throat and down the belly and on the bottom part of the jaw. We'll also be getting the mouth painted a little bit, because there's that red tongue in there we want to make sure we're addressing. So it's basically, it's we're still getting some more of the base colors onto the dragon next time we meet. So we'll be finishing up with a dark green, and then we're going to be moving into goblin green, which isn't actually, yes, it's a color from the game line. We'll be using the goblin green to kind of keep going with more of those colors, and we'll probably start doing more detail work and dry brushing. Third episode, it would be my target guess.
Nice.
For this one, yeah. So that is the plan there.
Also, yes, CTRP Gifts, who says, there's a lot of things I love about Paint and Slay, but the thing I love the most is when V and Lauren start making funny noises. I mean, it's just
how we do.
It's just what happens when you start working with paints, is eventually they're funny noises. But yes, we have got to wrap up, because Garwar is coming up next, and we got to get cleaned up so we can watch a Garwar. But like I said, 2 weeks from today will be the next episode of Paint and Slay, episode 10, The Young Green Dragon, Part 2, Electric Boogaloo. Yes. Definitely check out the Discord so you can get all the information to join us. Any final things that you want to say before we give everybody a goodbye?
Just have a lovely weekend and be good to yourselves, be good to each other, and we'll see you in a couple weeks, everyone!
Happy Hanukkah!
Happy Hanukkah.
Oh, and also thank you to our moderators, Martin and Mars, for hanging out with us and grabbing questions and everything, and we will see you in 2 weeks.
Bye, everyone!
Bye.